I welcome you back to our Stitch in Time series, where we're taking short portions of Scripture and looking at them to get the most out of them in a short period of time. We're in the book of Romans chapter 4, and we're going to start in verse 17. That's what it says. It says, "As it is written, I have made you a father of many nations, in the presence of him whom he believed, God, who gives life to the dead, and calls those things which do not exist as though they did." And here it's telling us the story of when Abram's name was changed to Abraham. This is when Abraham was 99 years of age. God came to him and said, "I have made you the father of many nations." Up until this time, he's had one child, Ishmael, about 13 years before, 12 years before. And he's talking to God about God's plan and destiny for Abram's life. And God is saying, "Abram, I want to give you a seed from your own marriage vows, to give Sarah a seed. She's 89 years of age, you're 99, and I have made you the father of many nations." And so the Bible tells us that God's character is to call things that do not exist as though they did. And we know from other portions of the Scripture that God has not changed, or the Lord does not change. In other words, the same God, the same character trait that God had thousands of years ago with Abram and Abraham is the same character trait that we have in our God now, which is to call those things that do not exist as though they did. And what it tells us in the next verse is how Abraham cooperated with God to bring those things which God has spoken in the non-existent state into the existent state. It says, "Abraham in hope believed that he might become that which God has said about him." And this is the tremendous transaction that takes place through the realm of faith, is to believe so that you might become. Many times people miss becoming that which God says they are, because they don't go through the process of believing to become. In other words, God says, "This is who you are." And we look at ourselves and say, "But this is not who I am in my current condition. I can't see myself this way." But Abram, it says, in hope. The word hope means expectation. In expectation, he had a divine confidence to believe so that he might become. You know, I think about passages in the Scriptures, like verses which says, "By his stripes you were healed." How can God say to me that I was healed when physically I don't feel well? Well, this is the same God who calls things as that do not exist as though they were. Okay, he says, "I have made you this. Now believe it so that you might become it. Believe it so that it might be your experience." God speaks certain things over our financial life. And God is a God who has not changed. He says, "I'm speaking those things that I see that they exist. They may not exist in your presence, but believe them in my presence. Believe them so that what I say can come and become your experience." You know, as I was reading through the book of Judges this morning, I think, about a man like Gideon, who God comes and says to him, "You mighty man of valor." And Gideon says, what are you thinking? God, you've got the wrong person. And I believe God is doing the same thing even with Gideon's character, to call those things that does not exist as though they did. And Gideon believed so that he might become that man which God said he was. I believe that God is speaking certain things over your life. I believe God is speaking certain things over my life. And he's waiting for us to believe them so that we might become them. Let's become the victorious people that God has called us to be. Let's become the fruitful people that God has called us to be. Let's look at the Scriptures to find out this God who speaks things that do not exist as though they did. Let's believe them so that we might become them. I believe this is the answer to some of those that are tuning in today. This is the answer to our prayers. The secret of working with God is to believe that we might become. May God richly bless you. We look forward to hearing about the victories that God is leading you into as you believe so that you might become.